Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. Thank you for joining us. It's part of the player engagement series, and it's already our third or fourth webinar, and there's a lot more coming up, so stay tuned for the upcoming webinars as well. But I'm Sarah Perosha, and I will be your host for today's session. I'm thrilled to have Peter and Sergey as speakers for today's session, and I will let them introduce themselves in a minute. But before we begin, I'd like to cover just a few housekeeping items. As usual, the boring things first. So you can submit questions throughout the session, and Sergey and Peter will be answering at the end of the session. If you experience any technical issues, feel free to ping me, and I will try to troubleshoot. The session is being recorded, and we'll be sharing the recording hopefully by tonight or latest tomorrow. And I know everyone is joining to win the book, so we will be announcing the winner tomorrow also from the people that are joining us. We will also be launching a few polls throughout the session, so stay logged in and look at the polls that are coming up. All right, without further ado, should we kick things off? And Peter, do you want to start?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
It's easy for me. I'm just the face that has to pretend to ask the intelligent questions. The real intelligence story is our guest today, Sergey, and I'm really having had a couple of times to speak to him at various events. It's really cool to be on a thing with him. I'm Peter. I'm working with Keywords the last 6 years. I manage the player engagement solutions division. We're there to look at how we can put things together for trust and safety, player support, community management, and all the platforms and all the hardware go that, including our own special HelpShift platform, which obviously is the most installed platform out there for player support in the gaming space. So very, very proud to be here, but let me hand over and let Sergey give a quick intro on himself. Over to you, Sergey.
Thank you, Peter and Sarah, for inviting me to your podcast or webinar. It's always a pleasure to me to share what I've been learning and what we've been doing, especially in wargaming, because I've been working here for 12 years. I started as a technical project manager and finished as the first part of my journey was in the development, and I finished as development director for our tool set, and then in 2017. I was asked to join the other side of the company, marketing and publishing, to create a team that will operate all of this tool set. And in 2017, even the word LiveOps didn't exist. So literally, we started from scratch. I remember that the first person in our team, actually, he is the co-author of the book. He's not in wargaming. He's right now in Ubisoft, but literally he was the first person in 2017 with LiveOps in his title. So so let's just try to shed some lights on LiveOps today.
Yes, and it seems to be this magical space where lots and lots and lots of things happen. And it was a great segue when you said from your own experience, like when you moved across to the dark side, the sort of LiveOps didn't exist and you had to build everything from scratch or find out how to do things. And I thought if we could start off with just a very short, your overview of what do you mean when you say LiveOps? Because I've come across a lot of people recently I've just got back from Austin, the LiveOps, the Live Services Gaming Summit, where there was a ton of discussion around LiveOps. And everyone has a different view. But I'd really like to have your take on it, Sergey, of like when people talk about LiveOps, sort of what does that really mean? What in essence is LiveOps, if you can summarize that in a sentence or two, which is a great context for all the rest we'll talk about.
Yeah, this is a good question and small like notice from my side. I mean, mostly I've been working with the PC and the console titles in wargaming, and the book mostly cover cases for PC and console. It doesn't mean that you cannot apply it for mobile games, but mostly right now it's more tailored to PC and console. And I will just read the definition of LiveOps that I put into the book. So LiveOps is the practice of introducing frequent and data-driven events to players without involvement of the game development team, aiming to maximize player lifetime value. So, and there are like four main part of this equation. So the first one, the ultimate target, because we want to maximize lifetime and of course value from the players, which extends both to the duration and monetization potential of player engagement. As I said, is the ultimate goal of all LiveOps initiative. The second part is data, which plays a crucial role in LiveOps. It's fuel the iterative nature of activity, which are continually optimized through analytics and A/B testing. And also LiveOps, the third part of this equation is that LiveOps is a practice, consists of ongoing activities that are consistently available to players. And the last one, events or campaigns, serve as fundamental components for LiveOps, forming the core of its strategy to engage players.
Thanks. I think that pretty much sums it up. And if I give it back to you in sort of one line, it's like what you need to do to support any events you bring once a game is live, that interfaces with the players, that gets them further engaged in the game in terms of some type of event and extending the playability of the game, and obviously then the lifetime that a player is engaged or playing the game. And when you take a very straight or narrow definition of that, that kind of means it's quite technical, and it tends to deal with things like, is this monetized or not? Is this a process where you technically have to drop things or not? And then, you know, running a campaign and running when the events come. But one of the things I wanted to sort of tack onto that was the player experience. This is only one part of it. It's just extending the actual physical product or changing the product so the product can be further engaged with at that point in time. So things like customer support, player support, community management, the trust and safety. Quite often when I talk to hardcore live ops folk, they feel that that's not part of this. Yet when I look at the overall process and what you say, and certainly the things you raise in your book and the experience you've had over the 12 years, that's not true. The closer you can bring those parts to this process and engage them, do you find that that does make a difference?
Look, again, what I noticed in my experience when I talk with the folks from other companies, the older the company, the more it's kind of old-fashioned publishing and marketing-driven organization, where publishing, marketing are two different teams. But if we talk with more kind of new studios, they don't have marketing and publishing at all. All of them call it LiveOps. And moreover, you're right. I mean, for some of them, they're literally part of the development team, not the publishing or operational team. Because right now, if you don't have an ability to adjust your game on the fly, even with some engineering capability that your tool set provides you during operations, it's not a proper LiveOps in 2025. And of course, the player support. This is actually the first touch point sometimes for our players, because let's say if we'll launch any event where we include some monetization, and there is a condition or challenges or missions that players have to fulfill. The first thing that happens when something goes wrong is the player support ticket. And if this ticket cannot be handled to the right team and the proper timeline, the next thing which happened is the Reddit thread with a lot of negative feedback, I would say, toward the studio.
No, I think, and I think that's a good way to sort of ask about, you know, live ops is about retention, as you said, lifetime value. So do you feel there's sort of an ethical line? You know, how do you keep the players engaged instead of pushing them into a compulsive behavior or spending more and it's only about the money? because actually it should be about the players, and then the money flows because it's about the players. Is there something that you feel that there's this line of where you've got to be careful with LiveOps?
Yes, we want players to come back, but we don't want them to feel trapped doing it. The ethical line in LiveOps is drawn in intent and impact. So our we encourage healthy engagement, or our triggering compulsive behavior. So let's just break it down. I have three kind of main points. The number one is balanced tempo. So the biggest burnout trigger isn't monetization, it's fatigue. Too many events, too fast, with too much pressure. You lose your core audience. That's why we talk about modulating event intensity. Not every event needs to be a showstopper. Players need some time to breathe. So create a rhythm, alternate between high intensity and chill moments, and make events feel like a pulse, not a grid. So number two, the FOMO trap. Battle passes and limited time offers work because they create urgency. But use them wrong and you're just building anxiety. If missing one event means falling permanently behind, that's not fair. That's punishment. So you should build opportunity. Let players catch up later, offer alternative way to earn mission rewards, and respect lifetime commitment. And number three, virality, because nothing kills goodwill and grows faster than pay to win. Take Star Wars Battlefront 2 in 2017. The community backslash over loot boxes wasn't just loud, it was global. And why? Because the game made players feel like money beat skill. So virality thrives on fairness. When players feel proud of their progress and respected by the system, they tell their friends. When they feel exploited, they leave, and also they warn others. So in short, ethical LiveOps is good business. Respect your players, pace your content, and build systems that celebrate time spent, not time lost.
I think that that's fantastic advice, and I think you summed it up in that the players matter. The ops, the cadence of the ops really should tie into the players. And on that basis, if you had to say, what would be the one misconception about live ops that game developers that you've come across in all the folks you talk to, if there's a misconception about live ops from the game developers' point of view, in conjunction with what we discussed, what do you think that would be the one thing that comes up there game developers get wrong the most about how they look or how they feel about live ops?
I would say that number one misconception is that LiveOps, everybody thinks that LiveOps is just a feature level. Events, offers, formal mechanics, and LiveOps starts after launch. Because it doesn't. The operating system of your game post-launch. Too often studios reduce LiveOps to a weekly event calendar or battle pass drop or loot box retention, and then they wonder why engagement flightlines. Involve LiveOps team during development, not after release. And here is how that plays out. So the first thing is progression systems. So don't hardcore your XP curve and call it a day. You need modulate seasonal progression that can be tweaked on the fly. If you involve LiveOps earlier, you build this flexibility into your economy from the start. Number two, social systems. Clans, guilds, and player-driven goals aren't side features. They are retention engines. So events that scaled with the community cooperations or reward shared achievements must be built into core design. For example, clan cosmetics, shared leaderboards, or collaborative unlocks. These require LiveOps tools at the system level, not take it on later. Number three is user-generated content. If your game is betting on UGC, then LiveOps has to be at the table from the start, not just to support it, but to amplify it. You're not just handing players a map editor or modding tools. You are opening up a new content pipeline. That means that LiveOps needs to share how this content surfaces, when it gets featured, and how it ties into the broader game economy. And number five, it's all about backend and infrastructure. Your game needs remote config, segmented offers, and real-time analytics. Waiting until post-launch to add LiveOps means kind of re-architecturing the plane mid-flight. Because predictive tools, event orchestration, personalized offers, all these should be scoped during development stage. Studios who build this backbone from the beginning will allow the build, avoid the build or fail trap. So the bottom line about misconception, LiveOps isn't a post-launch department. It's a mindset. You do not add it in after Gold Master. You design for it from the very first sprint. If your systems aren't LiveOps ready at launch, your game isn't ready, period.
I think that that's such a valid point, and it's something I often say as well. When guys get together when a team gets together to build a game, and they're going to build this fantastic new game, I always challenge them, well, what's the first question you should ask? And the first question is, who's going to play this game? And the second question is, like, when they come, how are you going to support them, look after them, and manage the process? And the key things, as you said, design in for LiveOps, design in for how the community works, design in for how you're going to do the customer support. And it never happens. It's always, like, as you say, sometimes an afterthought, which makes it quite interesting, really. So I'm glad that you raised that as an issue, because you should design a game to be either LiveOps ready or it's a game that isn't going to be. Because, hey, there's nothing wrong with a game that isn't LiveOps ready. They're still very, very playable. They're still very enjoyable. And people still play lots and lots of those kinds of games. How did you find in sort of getting the game ready? Because as you said, you had to find your feet and build as you went along. Everything was brand new. There was nothing that existed when wargaming came. How has something like the evolution of the player relationship management systems enabled you over time to deliver a better LiveOps experience, a more scalable player experience, and what impact do they have, and are they as important as they've ever been, or are more likely to see things change in these things with perhaps the event of AI or different systems? What's your view on that, on the player relationship management setup?
Yeah, one of the biggest turning point for us in wargaming was building our own player relationship management platform. We even call it that way. I mean, PRM in short. So back then, everything was manual. So want to run a special offer, we had to handpick players, write custom logic, code it into the game, test it, deploy a build. It was slow and effective, and most importantly, didn't scale, especially for a growing player base like World of Tanks. PRM changed all of that. It let us shift from a static one-size-fits-all approach to something dynamic and data-driven. So we could segment players by behavior, deliver offers and events that match their journey, all without touching the game code or dragging devs into ops work. So, and when you have that control, you start seeing things that surprise you. Believe me, you would be shocked how many players unlock new content and never realize it comes with deep customization, or how many wants to try premium content but won't spend until they have experienced it. That's why we introduce things like our tank test drive, especially renting a premium vehicle for a few bottles. Try before you buy, and guess what? Conversion rate shot up. And then there is the returning players. After a 5-6 months break, they log in and get and feel lost. But if PRM gives them a clear mission, a goal, and a small reward track, they stay, they re-engage, and they spend. So today, PRM generate around 4 or 5% of World of Tanks revenue, but this is not bad for something that originally just helped us avoid hard coding offers. And this is what I push in my book. LiveOps isn't just content; it's a relationship management. You are not pushing things at players' face. You are meeting them where they are and guiding them forward.
No, I think that's a very, very valid way. Just taking a quick pause, sir, before we jump into sort of the second half of the questions. Has anything come through from any of our folks out there which are pertinent to this sort of point there? Because it's always good if we can jump into a question from the audience that is pertinent at this point in time. I'm just not seeing it on my dashboard.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were seeing them. They're coming in through the chat, I think. I've seen quite a few coming in. So there was one which you touched on already a little bit, but I'm not sure if you want to add anything else. How would you name this invention involving the dev team in the process?
So talking about a PRM maybe.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, in our case, look, from the tool set points of view, we as a LiveOps team, we have two ways or two places in World of Tanks client to talk with our players. The first one is the messages that we can send dynamically from our PRM system. I mean, with any special offers or tips or what I mentioned, like hints that there is some customization for the content that you've already leveled up. And another one, we call it web to client. So we have kind of embedded browser where we can set up any events inside the client, literally without any development involvement. So literally, if we want to launch, I don't know, the last one was for St. Patrick's Day. So literally, we developed all the mechanics and the progression outside of World of Tanks client, and then just launch it on during D-Day. So yeah, and a part of this, yeah, we have a lot of tool sets for analytics and predictive modeling and dashboards, but this is literally for the planning and monitoring part of operations.
Thank you. There was another question as well. What's the best way to get player engagement with LiveOps and community engagement on social channels, on the game's Facebook page specifically?
All right, we will cover it later because I call it people's LiveOps, but let me just give a short version of this. When you engaged your best fans into the game operation part, part of the business, you already have a kind of free marketing power in their social media. So I'm not talking about the official channels for World of Tanks on YouTube or any other social platforms, because literally in our case this is the publishing part of operations. But let's say if you start programs like we call it creator tips. So literally our top 10, 15 streamers, They can create their own bundles with their favorite things or favorite customization, then bundle it together, put it on our premium store, and have a tips from these sales. What we have for free is that all of them start promoting these bundles as crazy, and they create a lot of educational video for some specific things. So literally, they play the things, they explain how to play these things. For us, it's literally free content. They promote our things for the audience on behalf of our creators.
Genius.
Yeah, that's so
Genius.
cool.
If you say and look at a game that's coming, and I mean, you've had a lot of experience there with all that you've done. What are the key ingredients that would separate a game with a shorter lifespan from one that can thrive 10 years plus? Not many games do, obviously, with looking at that whole process that you've built in the wargaming environment you have. But there's lots of games, even though they're live ops driven, that don't have that long lifespan. What do you think is that differentiator and the key ingredients that separate the game? If you just track back over time with what you believe LiveOps should deliver?
I will try to be short, and yes, I will just put five main topic because a forever game isn't built on luck. It's built on systems, community, and care. So games that last a decade don't just ship strong; they scale well. And here are 5 ingredients, of course, a part of a great game itself. So we're not talking about this part, because if you don't have a decent game, I mean, you cannot make it 10 times better with all of these systems. But number 1 is evolving meta systems. You need a flexible progression loop, event cadence, and monetization model that can grow with your players. That means modular systems, not static designs. So things like seasonal resets or meta refreshes and content pipeline that do not require constant rebuild. Number 2, you can call it data-driven or be more player-centric, like player-led LiveOps. The game that survive, adapt constantly. You ship, you listen, you iterate. Use data to identify drop-offs, sentiment to adjust timing, and segmentation to keep things relevant. The third thing is the social glue. So clans, co-op, competition. People don't just stay for gameplay. They stay for other players. So add guild milestones, leaderboards, events, community quest. So build system that makes players feel part of something. Of course, as I mentioned, number 4 is that tooling for scale, because you cannot survive 10 years if every change needs engineering. Invest early in LiveOps tools, remote config, or as I mentioned, systems like player relationship management we have in wargaming. Your ops team should be able to run the game without shipping a new build every week. And number 5, I call it strategic reinvention moments. So even the best system gets stale. So plan big tentpole moments every few years. New modes, platform expansion, or narrative shifts. This refresh the brand and bring players back. So the bottom line, game that go 10 plus year do at least 3 things well. So they evolve, they empower community, and they never stop involving their meta systems and tool sets.
Great. I couldn't have said it better myself. And I know people are going to want the book, because I know, having had the fortune of getting one and getting it signed by you, and thank you, have read that. And a lot of this is in there. So I can just say, and it's an unashamed plug. The book is really worth getting. It's a really good book. And congrats on writing that. It's
Thank you.
beautiful stuff in the space. More and more we hear about the shift. The games are becoming more of a social process. The reason why some of the games that have been around for as long as they've been around is they built such strong social structures and people play with their friends. And the game itself is part of it, but it's more than just the game. So brand new games find it very difficult to capture an audience. How do you see something like UGC or giving more control back to the players and managing that as an extension of LiveOps, or is that a whole new area? Or how do you see that all coming together as an opportunity for sort of further engagement or another way to drive, especially if you're a new game, some way of capturing market, because it's harder and harder with a game to actually launch?
Right. LiveOps used to mean devs push content and players consume it. And that's changing. Now we are seeing the rise of, I call it people's LiveOps, where players aren't just participants, they are co-creators. Platforms like Roblox, Fortnite, and Minecraft have proven that giving players tools leads to ecosystem that can outlive developer content cycles. And this changes how we think about LiveOps entirely. Instead of scheduling only official events, imagine surfacing the top-rated player-made quest in your seasonal rotation. Or instead of designing every challenge, give creators the framework to build their own and run community-led campaign. Or instead of LiveOps managing just monetization, it becomes the curator, amplifier, and even the connector of community-driven content. So we've already started to see this shift. Unreal Editor for Fortnite lets creator build full game modes, or Roblox pays out millions through their DevX campaign or program. In World of Tanks, we are looking into ways to welcome content creators into the game by offering their own tank commander skins and voiceovers, alongside with the creator tips campaigns that allows players to give tips to the creator bundle. So the impact, more fresh experience for players, and stronger community ownership, which drives retention like nothing else. So the future of LiveOps won't just be running events. It will be about running ecosystems, and the smartest teams will build the tools, not just content.
And I guess that's a great way to think about all that's coming. We all talk about Big Brothers watching you and all that cool stuff. And that turns into my question that probably everyone is waiting for, and that's the AI, the elephant in the room. Because you've seen, as you've said, LiveOps evolve from being a basic in-game event process to something that's much more real-time, as you say, more of a tool of building the relationships. How do you see AI-driven engagement and AI in general in the space, and how do you see that shifting how we play games, how we engage with games, and the LiveOps space?
The biggest shift, LiveOps, as I said, used to be handcrafted. Now it's becoming predictive and adaptive. So when we started, everything was manual. It worked, but it didn't scale. Now with predictions and real-time data, we can predict churn before it happens, tailor offer by behavior, run A/B tests dynamically across segments, and automate personalized engagement at scale. Sounds amazing, and it is, but here's the truth. Prediction is the easier part. Execution is the hard one. So take churn prediction. An analyst tells you with 90% accuracy which players are likely to leave in 2 weeks. Great, but now what? If you are serious about impact, the LiveOps team needs to design multiple retention offers that match different churn motivations, localize and QA them, run experiment across segments, analyze performance, and do it all fast enough to matter. And most studios aren't built for that kind of experimentation at scale. So the real power of AI, or the I would say the tools that could be like grouped with under one umbrella, uh, aren't just in prediction. It's in what your studio can do with this. You need the tools, the team, and the culture to act on insight reliably and repeatedly. Otherwise, it becomes a fancy dashboard, not a retention engine. So, in the nutshell, we only get there if analytics, LiveOps, and business goals move together.
I
And
think, I think that's a great answer, and I think that you're right. I think people have to stop thinking about the technology as it is. We all know a hammer is a hammer is a hammer. If you don't use a hammer properly, it's absolutely useless. So AI is just a more modern tool of what came before, which is highly, highly amazing. But again, as you say, if you implement it wrong or don't know what you're doing, it doesn't make sense. And it's a great way to segue into a question. So Roman asked, thanks for the question, mentioned player management systems a lot. And his question is, are there good solutions out there? Is an in-house thing? Is it something that's built? Maybe help shifts moving? My answer is that it's a lot of things, because it's tracking what a player is doing and being mindful, of course, these days of privacy and things like that. We have to be very careful about PII. It's about what metrics are you tracking? In other words, what are you trying to achieve, or what are you trying to do with the game? And then, of course, all the interactions. So there's stuff that happens in the community at large that isn't discussed, say, in a help. Only certain customers will reach out to you, or certain players will reach out to you when there's a problem. A lot don't. They might just discuss it in the community, and you have to pick up the sentiment or understand that. So I think, to you, as you ended the last question, you kind of in a way answered Roman's question, saying that it's multiple insights, tools, and analytics that have to come together. I don't think it's just one simple tool that solves the problem. But to his question, have you had to, in most cases, with what you've built at Wargaming, build it yourself? Is there something that you've seen out there as a tool set? Because we know HelpShift and where we sit, we're obviously in the player support space, and there's a lot of data we pick up in terms of what folks are doing, but we're not going to give insight to all the insight. We're only going to give some of the insight. The full 360-degree view comes from other tools. There's game engines, the game itself. HelpShift doesn't see how you play the game. It's not supposed to. It's private. We're not supposed to be able to see what you're doing in the game. It's only when you log a call that we should interact with you. So how do you see, or do you have a favorite set of tools that you're aware of now that help build out this ecosystem?
Look, I don't want to to mention some tools, not because I don't know them, but to make this conversation more fair. I mean, that's why literally in my book I have a chapter, build versus buy, for your tool set. So, and I mean, in wargaming, fortunately or unfortunately, we were kind of pioneer. I remember that when we first launched our PRM system in 2015, we were the first gaming company for cloud era of using Hadoop and all of this real-time tech stack. That literally we were invited. I was invited to their internal conference in New York, and gave them interview of how gaming already use all of their technology stack. So literally for us, I mean, Wargaming, World of Tanks was released in 2010. And we probably, not probably, we were the first free-to-play PC game on the market. I mean, League of Legends was released like 9 months before. So that's why for us, the build, it was the only option.
Yeah, makes sense. And I think it's fair that you don't, as you say, mention all the tools, but again, another plug, buy the book, it's all there. But that's a good way, because another great question that's come in from Philip is, it says, since the survey indicated we don't usually listen to players, How can we convince the developers and LiveOps teams to make compromises when designing events that will bring profits in the long term, but may not show immediate results? And I guess that's another way of saying of like, how are we listening more to players and what they ask versus what we think we want to deliver? And it's again that, do you drive more to drive revenue up now, or do you drive more to drive engagement? I guess there are times when you've seen where there's a lot of comment, take World of Tanks, which is, there are fanatical people out there. If you changed any aspect of that, like skins, could be controversial. Some folks want it. Other folks, the purists, like, no, you can't have skins. The tank is the tank is the tank. That's how it was built. It shouldn't change. That sort of, how do you listen to that and make a decision is kind of what the question is. And can you actually look after your players, or are you always going to have some players that are upset with you?
No, look, in peak, we had like 6-7 million MAU for World of Tanks, and in 2013 we broke the record of 1 million CCUs. So I mean, when you operate the game with so many players, it's impossible to please everyone. So that's why mixed review on your event or content is the good kind of review. I mean, we have a lot of ways of how we listen to the players. Back to your point about the historically accurate game, we literally in the settings we have a tick where you can switch off all of these fancy skins which comes with our partnership with other IPs like Terminator or Ghost and Panzer. So if you are a player who wants to be entirely immersed into the historically accurate environment, there is a tick. I will just explain you how we filtered ideas internally based on the player reaction. So literally, we have a process in LiveOps when everybody from the company can comes up and say, look, I have a brilliant idea. Let's check this trigger or a bundle composition or a time when we want to reach players with any message, offers, or whatever. And literally, we have a bucket with all of these ideas, and our benchmark is that we, for any such great idea, we give the author 10K players with 1K control group. And if after this test, it showed that based on this data, we have a statistically significant result for these 10 versus 1K control group players. We just scale this campaign or offer or even a big event in the future. So that's why it's very hard to filter it, any ideas based on who are louder in the room. But if you have a data in front of you and analysts say, look, this is statistically significant, this is the red or green flag for your idea.
If I go back over all the conversations we've had, and thanks again from the clarity you brought on some of the questions today. The thing that I keep coming back to is that it's quite a large process. LiveOps isn't just this, or it isn't just that. It's just a number of processes. When you look at how a smaller studio, and so I think this is the challenge for a lot of the folk on the call, when you have the resources and you've built out a giant game, or you're a big studio and you actually have all of the key people you need to develop out a game and then make it ready for LiveOps and then deliver a LiveOps game and then genuinely deliver content or engage your community to deliver UGC. What does a smaller studio do, and where should the LiveOps responsibility sit to make it as effective as possible? Because I think that's often like, who owns LiveOps and how are those decisions made so that the best can be brought out of the process? Because you have marketing often fighting as an acquisition strategy, you have the folks like we do in community and player support finding it, it's such a retention strategy. You have the devs saying, no, it's around content, and and all of these are all moving parts of live ops. But then where does the ultimate responsibility sit, in your opinion?
Look, LiveOps isn't about genre of the game. It's about the player life cycle. Whether it's a hardcore shooter or a casual puzzle game, the goal of LiveOps is the same: keep players engaged, optimize retention, and drive sustainable monetization. The difference is in the execution. So for mid-core or hardcore games, LiveOps is focused on deep engagement, long-term progression, seasonal content, and social play. So players expect frequent updates, high level of competition, and meaningful in-game purchases. On the other side of the spectrum, in casual games, the focus is on the frictionless engagement, simple rewards, and daily iteration. The key is to minimize barrier, making it easy for players to jump in and out while still feeling rewarding. So take Candy Clash, for example. It's one of the most successful casual live ops game ever. And why? Because it's constantly evolving with limited time boosters, daily rewards, leaderboard competition, and soft progression resets. The core gameplay hasn't changed much, but live ops layer keep it fresh. So the same principle that applies for World of Tanks or Fortnite. The key is understanding what keeps your players coming back and building live ops around that.
So, do you think in that case, and this is kind of how we can we're on the last stretch, we're in the last 100 meters, and we wrap up. What do you think would be seen in the way you've explained it, effective strategies for implementing live ops sprints in a smaller or structured organization? Is that driven by the type of game? Is it driven by what you're trying to achieve? Is it driven by size of players, size of game? Because you said there's a few factors there, fatigue, giving them time to breathe, etc. How would you look at sort of some kind of best practices or some ideas around structuring that?
This is a good question. And
it's like, how long is a piece of string? I know, I do apologize.
It's a tricky one because literally I have this privilege and luxury to work in the big franchise with a lot of players. And honestly, when I have conversation with the smaller teams, I even can admit that 70% of what we're doing in World of Tanks won't be very related to smaller games, because simply they won't have a decent amount of players. And even for World of Tanks, we have this issue. So for our EU or China cluster, we have a lot of players and we can test a lot. But for Asia cluster, sometimes we have lack of players in order even to launch a A/B test for and have the statistically significant results in that. So for the smaller games, look, definitely in terms of tool set, I will go with the buy option, because when you buy any existing platforms, you already buy kind of experience back from these platforms. So then you can almost copy paste best practice for other games in terms of monetization and the triggers and the predictive analytic stuff. Also in terms of kind of short-term and mid-term goal setting, it's always great to think about the system that drive players to coming back. So if you do not give them a goal to come back next day or in 1 week, so it doesn't matter how great your core gameplay. So this is the first thing, and this is what I mentioned. If you create your progression systems hardcore. You cannot flexibly adjust it based on any idea that you or any proof that you will have after launch. So this is probably, and of course, yeah, I mean, the community part is very important, because for the smaller team, the biggest challenge is the content creation. So if you start working with your community, and even before launch, integrate some tool set that helps you to adjust your content. I mean, literally to embed the mission and challenges based on your players' feedback, not the feedback. Let's say you can give your players a tool set for creating their own challenges, and when they bring players because of these challenges, they will have additional rewards. So with that, you will have a power to utilize your audience as a marketing tool. So then again, there are a lot of tools on the market where you can integrate it in deeper into development and the production lifecycle. Let's say there are tools that give you an ability to create a customize skins or decals put into the build of your game or any database, asset database, and then reutilize it in the premium shop or even in the battle pass. So and all of these give you more luxury or time in order to create the content. So yeah, probably this three part. If I were the LiveOps manager in the small game, I will start with that.
Makes a lot of sense, and I think it's really, really good advice. Before I let this run to the end and ask for, I was got a really interesting question for you right at the end. Would you recommend, and do you see it happening a lot where there's a disparity between an event or a live ops, or the cadence of live ops coming with content for the players, whether it's UGC or live ops, and the way a social media process or an outreach, outreach from community or social from the company is in sync? And then how much do you see that being a way a smaller company could really compete in the space by being a lot more organized in opening communication channels to the player base than the live ops events are running? Because we often see that there's quite a bit of a, like the only time support knows something happens is an event created a ticket and someone was complaining about it, and then, oh, hang on, there's something new that's come out. I think that in the larger organizations, that's better taken care of. But with the speed at which things happen, sometimes there's a gap. And I'm not sure if you have any ideas on that, or if you saw that as a challenge.
There is a challenge, even in the big companies and wargaming included. So okay, right now after 15 years of operations, we do not have this issue every day. But I remember like 5-7 years ago, it was literally every week. So that's why I mean, for us, we have a monthly planning horizon. So for a smaller game, it could be a week, 2 weeks, whatever. So, but it literally should be some planning horizon for events, special offers, or any collaborations, or if you have any campaigns with external integration. This is the place where you must inform everybody, because when you add any additional layer to your integration process, it's another layer for issues. So that's why in our case, we have this plan which literally for the next months, we have every 15th of every month, there is a deadline for everything. Then we lock the plan for the next month. All right, there is a way how can we quickly adjusted, but the rule is that 15th, I mean, literally everybody knows in in wargaming that the 15th of every month, this is, I mean, in World of Tanks, this is the day where you have to submit any ideas. And this is the plan which available with a certain level of access to a lot of teams. So, and they are aware what's going on. Moreover, if we have big collaborations with the new IP, one of the responsibility for our coordinator in LiveOps to inform everybody that, all right, guys, tomorrow we will launch this, so be ready probably for some potential issues. We even have a L2, level 2, level 3 support from the development and maintenance. Also in order to be ready for any issues. So look, this is the matter of processes, and unfortunately, all of the cases are blood cases, I would say.
No, fair enough. And I think like we're running out of time pretty quickly before I hand back to Sarah. I love following all the stuff you share when you do it on LinkedIn and the simple sort of cartoon approach to do this, do this, do this. Where else can the folks follow you if it's not on LinkedIn that you're also doing it, or is it at the moment where you spend most of your time sharing this knowledge? Because some of the stuff, I mean, I've learned a lot just watching the little diagrams that you share and say, think about this when you're building a game, think about that. Are you also doing some stuff on TikTok or Instagram? Or where else is Sergey busy with all of this information?
I'm mostly on LinkedIn. I started even TikTok because I'm a father of two. So, and my kids, they are not following me on LinkedIn. They prefer Instagram and the TikTok. But yes, mostly I share it. I'm trying to share, these quick insights in more cartoonish way. And sometimes even my daughter helped me with drawing these whiteboards stuff, because literally I'm in this case in this uh, field I'm literally left-handed.
Oh, and it's all good. Sergey, thanks very much. I'm going to hand it back to Sarah, but it's always been a pleasure. And I think, again, another great webinar in the knowledge shared. And thank you for the time. I look forward to finding out who the winner of the book is, because they're really going to enjoy it. Sarah, let me hand it back to you.